this might be a good point in this podcast to kind of talk about, I guess, how you guys utilize the moon in your strategy, because there are some similarities, there are some differences. So there are lots of different ways that we could go about this, but I'm trying to determine in my head how exactly I want this to flow.
Well, first, Josh, I'm going to give you a second to think about it, but I think we should go over the resource that they use to actually track.
Yeah, so that's what I was debating on, if we should go over the resource and then kind of the strategy behind it, or vice versa. So let's go ahead and do that. Leonard, do you want to ask about the resources they use?
Yeah. Basically, what do you guys use? And I know you pay attention to different things, but in your mind, because some people consider phase, overhead, underfoot, minor, major, rise, set, stuff like that, and most resources contain all of that. So to define what you use to find out the information you care about, just touch on the resources you use. Dakota, we can start with you because I know you came to it first through bass fishing. Talk about that, and then we can go to you, Kaiser, after that, and then talk about how you each use it individually afterward.
Okay. Yeah, what I use is a little unconventional as far as deer hunting wisdom and what people would look for in deer hunting. It's actually an app called Bass Forecast, and it tells you the major times and the minor times. And there are 2 majors in a 24-hour period and 2 minors in a 24-hour period. And basically, your major, which lines up with your overhead, is 6 hours after, or one of your majors is 6 hours after moonrise, and then moon sets the exact opposite. And your minors are going to line up exactly in between them. Like your moon set and moon rise are your minors. I actually figured that out today through research. So that's a little fun fact.
And the majors are the overhead and underfoot, correct?
Yeah, basically. And basically, the app lays it out, but you've got about an hour on each side of the majors and about 30 minutes on each side of the minors that are your peak times.
Okay. So
Okay, Kaiser, what do you? Oh, sorry, Josh.
no, I was just going to help paint a picture to the listeners a little bit more. So if we give an example, so like the major and the 2 major feed times is what you're referring to in that app, and those correlate with the overhead and underfoot times, essentially, correct?
Yes.
So, and you said there's an hour on each side?
Yes.
So let's say at 8 a.m. there's a major feed time, and that correlates with the overhead moon at 8 a.m. So that major feed time would be from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m.
Yes, if you're going on both sides of it, yeah.
Okay. And then you would literally,
if your minor hits at 9 p.m., you're looking at 8:30 to 9:30. Yeah, like an hour.
okay. All right. On your screen, a thumb just popped up, and I have no idea why. It was distracting, like a little thumb bubble. Okay. Okay, so I feel like that helps paint a clearer picture. So what have you seen with that? I know you've utilized it in bass and fishing in general. So what's your thought behind using that? Like, what are you seeing when you're using that resource?
Deer, any conventional wisdom from any reliable source says that deer feed 4 to 5 times a day, and there are 4 majors / minors a day. So they get up and feed usually on those majors and minors. And the major, if you can get a major that lines up with your directly after sunrise or directly before sunset, that's like your money period. That's when you're really going to see them. And I mean, I've seen them in the middle of the day on a minor too, just standing up in bean fields. Like, I don't know if they've been, I mean, while I'm driving, because I don't know anywhere to glass, but like if they're standing up in the middle of bean fields, I'm assuming they're standing up and browsing around and then laying back down until probably the major.
Okay. Or do you feel like when you're seeing them there, is it purely on a food source, or is it like how close are you to the beds? It would be my main question.
I mean, the deer I've killed with it, using it, it's been all over. I mean, I've killed the one I killed last year in Tennessee. It got straight up out of bed and came to me. I could almost see it get out of bed because I shot it at like 4:35 in the evening.
Jeez.
And yeah, Yeah, it was about that time. It was early. And then the one in Kentucky last year, it was with a doe locked. I don't know if they had just gotten up or they were milling around on their way back to bed, but it was early in the morning. So
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know if you were seeing that in like relation to bed, like, if someone wanted to use that, like, oh, I'm just going to set this random bean field, or do they actually need to be close to that buck's bed?
well, yeah, it's not. It's not like it's not the gospel. Like it's not the only thing I'd use. Like I'm going to be where he's at. I'm not just like you can't just go sit somewhere and say, well, this is where I'm going to hunt. Like I know there's one there I already want to hunt.
Yeah. Okay.
Like yeah, like I wouldn't just throw a random. If I'm just going blind, I'll go find what I want to find and use that. But I'm not just going to go throw it and be like, well, it's 9:30 in the morning. They're supposed to get up moving. I'm going to get in a tree.
No, yeah, I just wanted to clarify that
Yeah.
for the listeners there.
Yeah.
And a few episodes ago now, I guess it would be about 3 episodes ago, we did a podcast with Alan Summerford talking about native browse and stuff. And we hit on the multiple times that 4 or 5 times deer will get up during the day and feed.
Mm-hmm.
And I had mentioned you in that podcast, and how we were going to kind of be talking about that. So for any of the listeners, go back a few episodes through, on the Whitetail Apprentice Series, the podcast with Alan Summerford. We hit on like deer food sources, and we also hit on them getting up multiple times a day to feed.
Well, 2 weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, we were scouting a place in a different state, and we were coming out, and it was just a native field, and there was he was 3 or 4-year-old buck up on his feet at 11 o'clock browsing in that field. I was down watching him with binos and checked my phone after he worked off, and it was the miner time, like dead on, like 11 o'clock.
Private.
Do what? Sorry.
Is that public or private?
It's public. He's just up in a native field, just browsing around at 11 o'clock in the day, sun beaming down. It's like 90.
You sent that to us, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. I couldn't film him just because the way it went, because like I came up over the rise and there he was. And I just went down, but he was a pretty nice one.
Are you using that app all throughout the year?
Yeah, I do, just because like I said, during the rut, I want to be on some type of pinch or funnel. Like I like drains a lot, but usually those drains have some type of oak on them, and the doe groups are going to get up and feed on those during those times, in my opinion.
Gotcha. Okay. Cool. Are there any other apps out there for the listeners that do something similar, that show the major and minor feed times?
Not that I know of. I haven't used any others. I think I pay $10 a year for that, and that's pretty much what I stick to.
Someone smarter than me needs to make an app for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.